Let's talk about Eugene O'Neill's Long Day's Journey into Night. This isn't just a play, it's more like an emotional autopsy. It is a raw, absolutely unflinching look at one family just coming apart at the seams. And it's truly one of the most powerful things you'll ever see in American theater. But to really get why it hits so hard, you have to know where it came from.
And you have to understand, this thing was born from a place of just deep, personal pain. In the dedication to his wife Carlotta, O'Neill himself called it this play of old sorrow, written in tears and blood. So this wasn't just some story he made up. No, this was him confronting the ghosts of his own family, a story he felt he absolutely had to tell.
And somehow he took all that personal pain and turned it into an absolute masterpiece. I mean, critics, scholars, pretty much everyone agrees. This is his magnum opus. He took his family's private agony and somehow created a tragedy with the weight of a Greek classic. It's a cornerstone of modern drama, for sure.
But that brings up a really important question, right? How did he do it? How does a story about just 4 people sitting in a single room get to be so devastatingly powerful? What's the secret? What's the architectural blueprint for all this despair? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down.
The answer, really, lies in what you could call the pressure cooker formula. O'Neill makes these brilliant and honestly kind of brutal structural choices that basically trap the characters, and us, the audience, in a space with absolutely no release valve. It forces every single long-buried secret and resentment right to the surface.
Now, the foundation of this whole formula is actually a really old dramatic principle, the Aristotelian Unities. The idea goes all the way back to the ancient Greeks, and it's simple, really. To make a play more focused and intense, you limit it. One single plot, one single location, all happening in one single day.
So O'Neill takes this classical idea and just applies it with this devastating effect. He compresses an entire lifetime of family trauma into the tight confines of one day and one room. This strict timeline almost becomes a character itself, just ticking down as the family falls apart.
You can literally map the family's psychological decay onto the clock. The play kicks off at 8:30 in the morning with this thin, fragile layer of hope. But as the hours grind on, from midday to evening to that final awful confrontation at midnight, that hope is just systematically destroyed. The passage of time is their descent into darkness.
And hey, this isn't just my interpretation. O'Neill lays it out for us plain as day, right in the script. The scenes page itself confirms it. One setting, the living room of the Tyrone summer home, with the action unfolding precisely from 8:30 a.m. to midnight. One day, one room. There is literally no escape.
And that right there, that is the pressure cooker. By trapping the characters, O'Neill makes it impossible for them to just leave the room to escape an argument. They can't just say, let's wait until tomorrow for things to blow over. Nope, they are forced to confront each other and their whole shared history over and over again, relentlessly.
Okay, so that's ingredient number 1 in the formula. Ingredient number 2 is all about his style. See, in his later work, and especially in this play, he backed away from all the experimental stuff of his youth and just embraced this raw, unflinching kind of realism.
Think about it. Early in his career, O'Neill loved to play around with theatrical tricks. Masks, weird monologues, all that stuff. But here, he strips all of that away. He commits to what he called faithful realism. The dialogue sounds like how real people actually talk, and the plot feels like a slice of life, even if it's a really, really painful one.
This style is a form of naturalism, which sounds academic, but it really just means taking a clinical, almost scientific approach to the drama. And you can see its hallmarks all over the play. Problems are never tied up in a neat little bow. The tone is grim because it's exposing hard truths. And most importantly, there's this powerful feeling that the characters are just trapped by their past, by their genes, and their environment.
This realism is even baked into the very language they use. As Edmund, who's basically O'Neill's stand-in, says, stammering is the native eloquence of us fog people. He gets it. He knows that for his family, clear, direct communication is impossible. Their pain runs so deep they can only stammer around the truth. And what you get is dialogue that's halting, repetitive, always circling the same old wounds.
All right, so let's put it all together. What happens when you combine this intense pressure cooker structure with this painfully honest realism? You get the play's central, suffocating theme, the inescapable past.
The Tyrones are just
caught in this awful, self-perpetuating cycle. Mary's morphine addiction, the men's alcoholism, those are just the symptoms. The real disease is this endless loop of blame and guilt and denial and regret that they can never, ever break free from. Every single conversation they have eventually just circles right back to these same issues.
And honestly, Mary Tyrone delivers what is basically the thesis statement for the entire play in one devastating line. She says, "The past is the present. It's the future too." For this family, time isn't a straight line. The past isn't something that happened way back when. No, it's a living, breathing thing that infects every single moment of their present and completely locks in their future.
And this, right here, this is the real genius of what O'Neill did. The structure, the one day, the one room. It isn't just a clever box to put the plot in, it is the plot. It's the physical manifestation of how psychologically trapped they are. The form of the play perfectly mirrors its content, forcing the Tyrones to endlessly relive their suffering right in front of us.
So, in the end, O'Neill's masterpiece did so much more than just tell a heartbreaking story. By fusing this classical structure with a modern psychological realism, he basically created a whole new kind of American tragedy. He proved that the biggest, most profound human dramas don't need kings or gods or battlefields. They can unfold in a family's living room. Which leaves all of us with a final, pretty haunting question. The play holds up a mirror and forces us to ask, if the past is always the present, if it shapes everything we do, can any of us truly escape our own long day's journey?